but we'll have a recording.
Deal. All right, well, it's a little early, but I'll call the meeting to order. Oh, boy, I lost my agenda. So, yeah, the agenda check. So we have a little bit of a change. Our health officer, Catherine, isn't gonna be able to attend tonight, to report back on her situation. But, hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to review the report that was shared, so it's just gonna be a slight modification. We'll still take up consideration of the report and have kind of some dialogue around that. But other than that, that's kind of a shift. And the other request is that I believe we had a request to bump up an update on the Friends of the Calais Town Hall. So we'll move that up. I guess maybe just before, if everybody's comfortable with that. Is that about right? So about 6:25 if we
Be
can.
here by 6:10,
Okay.
just in case, that's early.
Great. So is everybody in favor of that modification? So I guess I'll propose that in the form of motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. So moving on, we've got the first item on the agenda being a review of a curb cut application. We've got Jordan Juanita here. The curb cut application was in the share drive folder. Are there any questions? I guess, Kari, you or John have had an opportunity to do a site visit with Jordan.
With them on last week, and as I described, they want two curb cuts. The northern one, there's no issue at all. The southern one, looking to the north, it doesn't meet the sightline requirements for that speed limit. But it's not off by a lot. It's not a well-traveled road. And Jordan's already purchased a blind drive sign that he plans to install, or actually John offered to install it if you approve. So I think an exception could be made. But that's up to you.
Is this on a single parcel? The parcel hasn't been subdivided yet, so there'll be two curb cuts on that same parcel to the east of George Road.
There's a tree line that kind of naturally kind of there between the parcel, and then there's two agricultural entrances, so it's transitioning those entrances to residential. Kind of be in line with where the wastewater permits are located. There's two of them.
Okay.
We're stuck when we're here, right? We're talking about where this one is. Which one is one we're talking about?
This is this one. This is south.
Okay, this is the one that has the issue.
Yeah. And it kind of rises to the the top of the road is where Juanita's driveway is currently.
You're talking about A or B?
A.
A is
the problematic one, I can say it that way.
And it's really the distinction in the speed on the road that is making it even an issue.
Yeah, well,
Is that true, or
one of the key things with curb cuts is that there's ample line of sight.
Line of sight.
And it doesn't, and that, the distance is dependent on the speed limit. It happens to be 30 miles an hour on George Road, I bet.
Which would require like 200 feet.
So 200 feet,
Yeah.
So it's, shy by about 40 feet, but it's obviously pretty low volume traffic road by most assumptions. The next step down would be 25 mile an hour, and that's 155 feet. Line of sight.
Yeah, no, I saw that.
So,
Yep.
There's no signs on George Road for speed.
Yeah.
So, but, I guess as a driver by law, I should think it's 35 without that. It's kind of impossible going on a George Road corner anyway.
Uh-huh.
So I guess the only, well, so, and there doesn't appear to be any need for, ditch work or culverts on the, okay. My only concern, I guess, is I don't know that we have much precedent for cuts being applied for under one application. And not that I'm trying to do a money grab here, but for the town, it's just a fee, but I'm wondering just for recording purposes, whether or not they need to be on a separate application.
I don't know, I didn't think of that. And I haven't seen it either, so.
If that's the case, can we waive the fee for the second one and just have them fill out the form of the second time? Is that what you're concerned?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
I think so, especially since they're gonna be, I guess, conditions applied. I mean, I think it's generous for Jordan to be proactive and considering having a sign made that comes with, you know, a considerable amount of expense to have those officially made. So anyway, I think technically we would need to add that as a condition of approval to have the sign installed. And if John's comfortable doing that, then we would direct him to do that at a time certain, I guess.
We did talk about changing the speed limit to 25. What is involved in doing that?
That's an ordinance change, so the select board can make that change, it just has to go through a public meeting. And gets warned in the paper, it's just a little more formal.
Practice as we've kind of considered that and as it's come up over the last couple of years. Would be to do like a traffic study. I don't know that that's warranted relative to the volume of traffic that's likely on that road. That would be my opinion on that. But we have been trying to be fairly consistent when we consider speed limit changes on roads, that it comes hand in hand with a traffic study, which we can request through Central Vermont Regional Planning at no expense. It's just that their calendar is pretty full. So yeah, it's hard. They have some outstanding traffic studies, I believe, for us still on like a handful of other roads, but
But I think you can also, like in road traffic study or counter to a traffic study, change based on, you know, features of a road. And I think a very strong argument could be made that Jordan Road is steep and windy and narrow. And I think it could certainly go on a, you know, might not warrant a change of the ordinance in itself, but I think would be worth sort of putting in the back of our heads as next time we're evaluating this traffic ordinance anyway,
Mhm.
to consider looking at that one.
sure. It's a little outside of the purview on this particular conversation, and wouldn't want to just entertain that anecdotally without having, you know, a better warning of that conversation with other property owners, et cetera. But I think the bases are covered. Can I kind of hear a consensus on whether or not anybody feels it would be appropriate to have the two curb cuts at least represented on separate applications?
I don't
Everybody's
strongly
feel fine
about it. No, I feel like the information is all there,
Okay.
so, but if there's some requirement that we discover. I guess I would ask, but
Is it the intention to have two separate lots, or are these just two houses on one piece of property?
The intention would be to have a residence and seasonal, agricultural housing on the alternative septic.
So it's the same owner,
Which
The two houses.
requires two access, well, it required residential access. But temporary housing is exempt on zoning. 4.6. Well, you can move it when you're done, or it changes hands. So that's the idea, is. I mean, without major subdivision, it's 7 years before subdivision, but I have 5 kids and, I think the space is gonna come in handy to utilize for agricultural reasons for in-law place for.
But it's not your immediate intention to subdivide.
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm okay with it.
Okay, well, thanks for reaching that. I guess the just caveat that I'll add is that, you know, in the last couple of instances when we have kind of special circumstances like these, you know, just a reminder that I guess if the nature of the kind of seasonal access changes, just a reminder that like the town has the right to call you back and say, you know, it seems like the nature of use has changed, and we may need a separate curb cut, but I think relative to what you're representing now, this is well within our purview of approval. So as far as the placement of the sign goes, I'm actually not familiar with whether or not there's a particular distance from the driveway that it needs to be placed.
There is, we discussed that, and that might be why John suggested he install it actually.
Okay,
But that should be a condition as a placement of an appropriate sign, approaching that place where it doesn't meet the requirement.
okay. Well, with that, then I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the curb cut application as presented by Jordan Hepburn, and with the condition that a blind drive warning sign be installed, which has already been purchased by Mr. Hepburn.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Thanks. Thanks. Appreciate it. The next item on the agenda is a check-in with the Trails Committee, which is just more of a seasonal check-in and update to hear what the committee has in store for the upcoming year, which a little redundant because we just had folks in here as we were appointing to some open vacancies. But we kind of committed to having various committee chairs check in and let us know if there are specific needs or ambitions for the year. So with that, Mr. Blatchley, I see that you're online.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome.
Thank you for putting me on the agenda. Let's see. So last year we did a lot of expansion of the trail network. The Long Meadow Hill Trail was the big one. And we also expanded the Carbrook Trail to make it more accessible by having a southern trailhead. This spring, we've added a couple new trails to the Broadview Trail network too. But I don't foresee any new expansion in the year coming up. We're always open if somebody comes to us and wants a trail on their land, or if any of the existing landowners come to us. But we expanded the trail committee membership by 2 people, so we have 13 members. I don't know. We might be the biggest committee in town. I'm not really sure. You guys are the experts, but that's okay. The more the merrier, and the more people we have, the more input and help when we need it. So that's great. We have our annual meeting coming up in a couple weeks. I think the only big project I foresee coming up, well, there's a couple possible ones, but the one that intrigues me right at the moment is one of our newest trail committee members, Claudia Welch, took it upon herself to walk all the trails in the network and write detailed descriptions of all the trails and I'll just add in a lot of other information about the trails, and that really inspired me to try to get the Trails Committee to think about maybe providing some sort of guidebook to the trails, which could include these trail descriptions and maybe maps and photos and everything else, and have that available to the public. So that's what I'm going to try to push at the meeting and I think, long term I could see it involving the Conservation Commission and maybe the Historic Preservation people too, because you could provide a lot more information about the land over which these trails go to that way. And then the other project that just barely has kind of come into my consciousness is maybe building a boardwalk and observation deck onto the end of the Long Meadow, I'm sorry, not Long Meadow, but Little Mud Pond Spur Trail. Tim Howe, who is the owner of that land, is interested in the project, and so we're kind of looking around to see if we can find a contractor to go out there and give us an estimate of what it would cost. He said he checked it with the Vermont Land Trust, who has a conservation restriction on the land, and they're on board. Um, I haven't checked with the town yet to see if there's an issue there, but we would want to do it in a way that's has the least impact, of course, and it does not affect the ecology of the pond, which is this beautiful, pristine pond out in the woods. So that's probably a long-term project that we need to get a lot more input about. But other than that, I don't see anything else going on this year coming up. That seems like enough to have on our plate.
Thanks, Tom. I have a friend who has a landscaping business that used to do trail work in another state, and he wouldn't likely be interested in performing that, but I know he has some pretty deep connections to other contractors who do that kind of very specific kind of technical trail installation and building, and happy to ping him and see if he has any specific recommendations for folks to reach out to. Those
Great.
Yeah.
Send me his contact. I'd be, yeah, very interested.
Sure. I have another one to just throw at you. I wondered about the trail access points for a handful of examples. And some of the trails get used pretty heavily, which I think is great by the community, but that you then also have some parking on the side of the road that in some areas can be more problematic than others. And I'm curious whether the committee would just take up a consideration of whether it warrants trying to do like a parking area that is designated. And, I don't think that can be a conversation that can be had without, close dialogue with the property owners associated with those. Certainly it would need to, if that parking area would extend, beyond the town's right of way space, which it likely would need to fit a car off of the traveled road anyway. But it's been something that's been on the back of my mind as the town, as a kid, on the occasion that we're doing material cleanup, seasonal material cleanup, where we've got road material that isn't likely usable, reasonably usable for installing back on the roads, and still may be decent enough for use in a parking area. It could be reused in a low cost way to help both improve, how those trails get used and the impacts of parking adjacent to the side of the road, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know, just wanted to put it out there as an ideation.
Yep. Yeah, I appreciate your bringing it up. It actually has come up a bunch over the years, and like everything else with the trails, it involves the landowners, and some landowners I know have been reluctant to do things like that because they don't. It's kind of a little dance that you do. People want the public to use their land, but they don't want too many people to use their land. Um, I agree with you. I think in general, that should be a focus, and it involves more than just the Trails Committee and even the landowners. Does involve the town. I would love to see better access for some of these trails. So, thanks for bringing it up.
Cool. Well, thanks. Thanks for the consideration. I don't have any other questions or inputs. Anybody else? No?
Good work.
All right. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, good luck.
Thanks,
All
Tom.
right. See you later.
And Mr. Sheets has arrived. So we decided to take up from the Calais Town Hall, a little bit early,
Sure.
just to check in. Welcome.
I am temporarily holding down the chair of the Friends of Calais Town Hall, temporarily. Due to the departure of Carol Beatty. Did a fabulous job, but needs a break. So, yeah, there are three things that I'm prepared to talk briefly about. First of all, I'm told that there is smooth coordination going on between the town and our group regarding the calendar, regarding the scheduling and the website, which has saved us the trouble of doing that ourselves. So I think that seems to be working really well with the great cooperation of the town clerk and her office in general. The management agreement is now up to date. Pending the amendment of a protocol for use of the equipment, which now has officially been transferred, ownership of which has been transferred to the town. And so Artie is still working on developing that protocol for the use of the equipment so that people are properly trained before they indulge. And the same is true of the piano. Same situation. We have the instrument upstairs, but you need to be clear, I think, about following a certain protocol as different groups make use of these resources. We also renewed our liability insurance for said equipment upstairs.
For the board.
Yes, I'm sorry, liability for the board, yes. And as for events, the Scott Passage event here was an amazing thing. That was wonderful, and we have the three best and Drennans, thanks to the gift of from Charlotte of those paintings to the Palace Historical Society. They're only partially locked to the walls currently. I have yet to bring my assistant over to lock them even more securely. And we'll give the tool. That was one of the questions.
Oh.
Who should have the tool, do you think, that would allow for unlocking these locks on the three paintings? Someone with the Historical Society, or do you think it makes more sense for Kari to have these, or who? What do you think? Just in the event that somebody needs to remove
Right.
these, we would need that. Or,
So it's a single tool, it's not like a key that you can make a copy of.
yeah, no, it's a wrench essentially. That is designed to go behind the painting and unlock. In the two different locations.
Fairly significant responsibility,
There'll be a place in the town office.
like the vault.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, a notation to the historical society that that's where it is also. because we
Sure. Oh,
Sometimes lose the map of where.
yeah, no, I was gonna talk to Donna Fitch about this, but since I find myself in front of you.
Yeah,
I'll just mention that that's something we should definitely make sure everybody knows where it is when they need it.
Mhm.
But we do not anticipate the need to remove the painting for quite some time, which could mean none of us may even be in this room when that time comes. There's a high school graduation here on May 31st. Then in mid-June, a run of the Gospel Hollow Players Spring Show. In the middle of July, there's a concert with Louis Franco and the Missing Cats. And then in October, the Gospel Hollow Players return for their fall show. In the meantime, Vivian Chang, who's the program director of the Advent Music School, is very interested in renting out the hall upstairs for their concerts this summer. So I don't know where that conversation is currently. It's been, I believe, principally with Nancy and Artie, but we'll find out soon. And then another to be determined is to try to do some kind of observance as a tribute to Kenward Elmsley, following up in particular for the generosity. And there are a bunch of people, Tobin Anderson and others, who are quite interested in doing that. As for the equipment upstairs, there are also new blackout curtains that have been installed, which really dressed up the upstairs.
it looks great.
It does. It looks significantly better. Nancy Toulis is responsible for all of this, as she's worked very hard to try to mitigate the hasty installation of last year. Thus, they've covered up a lot of the wiring with panels, they've painted, they've done quite a lot to mitigate the effect of all of that equipment on the interior. And yet keep it the way it is currently, because ultimately our goal is to address this much better by embedding a lot of what we currently see up there in the walls, above the ceiling, all of those locations. That can't be done until we invest in the insulation and lots of other things for the upstairs. She leaves, Nancy and Artie are out of town right now, so they left me a few notes, including 2 requests. One is to see about what would be involved in moving the voting equipment that is currently stored in the closet upstairs to a different secure location. It needs to be in a secure location, but I think they're hoping that at some point that closet can be available only to users of the upstairs, because it's key space. There's not a lot of so-called backstage space, and if it needs to be in a secure location, then how can we share the closet?
Right,
which is currently
Is the
the
current-
situation.
check, yeah,
Where all of the equipment is also going into that same closet, and can that situation continue much longer? So perhaps we begin to think about alternatives and how we can even help find that solution. The second request is, can the town clear the upstairs of the invasive ladybug mimic beetle infestation that plagues many buildings in our town at this time of the
Yeah.
year, especially. But anyway, Nancy wondered if that could be laid before you as well. I think that's everything I have. So what do you have?
I can speak to both of those. I think, well, the first one, as far as that room goes, that's gonna have to be a conversation with Tegan.
yeah.
She's not here tonight,
Oh, yeah.
but I'll make a note to have her contact you or
Or Nancy and Artie probably are
Yeah,
the
okay.
more appropriate
I think the
ones.
point about it being a shared space that also has to be secure.
Yes.
It's, you know, two things are happening in the place that.
Yeah.
It's not appropriate, but.
As far as the ladybugs, we actually have pest control coming out tomorrow morning to address the exterior of the building because we have such insect issues in the summertime when the light is on. We found that we need to spray at least on this side. So I will ask him to evaluate upstairs and see what he recommends.
Fantastic.
Sounds fabulous. Only the invasive ones. The native ladybugs need to be left alone naturally.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Duly noted.
Yeah.
I'm sure insecticides at that time.
Discerning.
Discerning,
Yeah, they have a spray for that.
Indeed. All right.
So I just wanna
Yeah.
say, I would just add, thank you, first of all, thank you, David, and,
Sure.
you know, things are going along, continuing to go along well. This, report by David is a commitment that we had asked for as a select board by, of the Friends of Calais Town Hall to come and let us know what the plans were for the summer. I just wanna comment that the potential collaboration with Adamant Music School is a wonderful sort of cross village
We're kind of
opportunity.
moving. Yeah,
And that you're, you know, also engaging some folks who were previously involved and now getting back involved, which is great.
correct. So Tobin
Yeah.
and Carol, for
Yeah.
example, both of them have a big interest in developing a series that can be presented upstairs.
Yeah,
So we're hoping for that.
so I just wanna thank both the Friends and
Yeah.
the select board, because I think and the town office, because the collaboration is continuing to improve and strengthen, so
Indeed.
really appreciate it.
And pass along our thanks for the work that's been done upstairs. I haven't
Yeah.
actually been up to see it.
Yeah.
After this meeting.
I will.
Jump up there and
I
have a look.
heard Nancy.
I will indeed. Nancy,
Yeah.
of course, she's highly motivated because she wants, of course, the hall to look fantastic for her own show, which is in the middle of June.
Yes.
That helps.
But she was committed to getting
She's
so
been-
much done before
Very
the
much.
memorial
Yeah.
for Scott,
It's very
so,
much appreciated.
yeah,
Thank you. I will do so.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. So that brings us kind of back on schedule for taking up the to report two updates on the Dewar Brook situation. The first being the report from, just kind of a review of the report from the town health officer, which just kind of recaps the complaints and the nature of various observations, et cetera. It looks like the dailies are here. Thanks for coming. So right now, as I stand it, that Kari and John also made a trip over there a couple of weeks ago around time of our last meeting, just to evaluate the concerns about the field access off of the road as well. And at that point, we had just received in the report from the town health officer, that kind of summarized that she had been in contact with the Dailies. There's a commitment to start working on cleaning up some of the waste that was around, but the majority of the complaints were not likely in the purview of the town. And would need to be brought up as a complaint with A&R, and fully within the purview of the Department of Environmental Conservation to investigate from there. So that's kind of a broad summary of where we're at. And
Yeah,
Like-
I'll just add a couple of things. Catherine apologized for not being here. I spoke with her today, and basically her memo summarizes where her thinking on this is. She did go and inspect and ruled out septic failure and any, from her perspective, concerns about contamination. Obviously, there's a lot of solid waste, and, the Dailies are committed to cleaning that up. She said that her discussions with, I forget who the name of the staff person at A&R is, that he's willing to come out and follow up if the town wants to issue a formal complaint, but they are of the mind that give Peter and Laura a chance to finish the cleanup. Catherine definitely recommends setting some kind of timeline, due date to get the work done.
Mhm.
And then as far as John and I, were on site last week and met with Peter and took a look around, and in my view, it's not a residential, access point. It's a field access point. And, I don't think that it requires a formal curb cut unless there were a change of use. And the same goes for the two on Harlan's land. And by the way, we tried to reach Harlan to make sure he was aware of this tonight, but we were not able to reach him. Phone call or email or anything like that, so.
thanks.
And I tried to get a copy of John McCullough's letter. I haven't seen him for a little while, but remember, he did an inspection a year ago about a separate complaint. I don't know if he's written a letter, but I don't have it for you.
Okay.
So I want to acknowledge it seems like there's been a fair amount of work over there, Peter and Laura. So, thanks for engaging in that process. And again, I'd said as much to Laura in our last meeting, but I really appreciate your willingness to work with the town health officer and have conversations with her through this process. I guess it'd be helpful to just hear kind of an update on what the status of the cleanup is at this point. And I do agree that setting a deadline of sorts for what would be an appropriate time to revisit it or have Catherine go back to check on the status of the update. I didn't see where there were explicit details to what extent it needed to be cleaned up, but we can have that at another time, maybe when Catherine's available for a conversation. But if you guys wouldn't mind, I guess just providing a little bit of an update on what's been done so far and what else you plan on continuing to do.
Right now, I have one dump, I have a dumpster full of maybe all metals to come take it.
Okay.
And that's pretty much cleaned up 90% of it. I don't have enough to justify another dumpster, so I'm finishing it with a friend of mine's dump truck. That I'm going to use borrow with all the rest of it, but.
We've taken 4 30-yard dumpsters metal out. So we are down to the vehicles that we're gonna keep. It's a handful, especially compared to what we had. And we have spent the last 2 weekends, our only free time. Both of us are sunburned and exhausted. But we've busted our butts and we've been trying really hard to make it easier on the neighbor and everybody else that's impacted. So I think if you guys drive by now, you're gonna be blown away. So I don't know how much more. I don't know how much more we can do right now, but I feel like we have improved it drastically. So I encourage you to go by and send the health officer, come over for a burger, whatever.
It's also money is an issue of being able to get rid of stuff, so.
Yeah.
So as I can afford it, I will keep getting rid of it.
Understood. No, again, I really appreciate the willingness to kind of engage and keep the town up to date on things. We'll circle back with Catherine to see how we might be able to kind of set a timeline if there is further work that she feels needs to be done. I would, just as a word of caution, advise taking a look at how the state defines salvage yards. I'm not levying any judgment on what that definition is, but that's just something to be aware of, should it become an issue, just so that you kind of have a plan for that. But it's a sticky situation, and yeah.
One of the things that Catherine emphasized, it doesn't have to be the town that files a complaint for the
Right.
ANR to respond, it can be anybody.
That's
And she requested that the link to the ANR complaint or environmental concern portal be posted on the town website.
I would like to say as far as the cars go, and as I told the health officer too, she pulled out the relevant law as far as Vermont state goes. And that was one of the first things she mentioned to me. And I would like to say that if we are going that route, that I would love to go on a field trip around town with my pen and paper. And we'll write down every single person that has more than 4 cars in their yard and I expect exactly the same treatment for that. Because if we're singled out for that by the town, then there's a problem if you're not gonna do it for everybody else.
I hear you wholeheartedly, and that's why we're choosing not to have a discussion about that right now. But again, thank you. Really appreciate the openness and willingness to talk with the town, work with the town on this. So thank you.
Can I just ask one more thing?
Sure.
Did the neighbor, the town will acknowledge that we have put in the effort and advise him that our driveway is not illegal. Because he parked across the road from us with my children and grandchildren playing in the field and started screaming at my grandchildren that we had an illegal driveway.
Well, I think that's a fair request, and certainly that is within the purview here of what we've been discussing. I'd say, if you wouldn't mind, if we could just check in with Catherine first, so that we can just make sure that we're closing the loop on what she feels is the complaint that is like within her purview. And we've taken a look at the curb cut issue or the field access issue. And it doesn't sound like there's an appetite to continue that conversation. So I think it would be appropriate to report back on what the town finds. Is that fair?
I'm not exactly clear what you're asking me, sir. Ask Catherine what she thinks is an appropriate deadline.
Yeah, I guess I would like to hear a little bit more from Catherine on if we're going to put a deadline, what are we saying the goal is associated with any particular deadline. And certainly within the perspective of what work has been performed so far. And just so that we can represent those two things at the same time, both responding to complain about the field access as well as
Which is not in her purview.
which is not in her purview, but it's just the kind of responding the totality of the complaint from the resident.
And can I just understand what you're suggesting in terms of how the town is responding? I guess I'm not clear.
From my perspective, I guess it would be just a summary finding that there is, at this time, there is not an issue, relative to a field access.
Right, okay.
To.
And that's
the
just getting
property.
documented
And,
here?
yep,
Yeah,
and that the solid waste issue, is being addressed by the property owners
Right.
and.
Okay.
There's nothing to,
clear commitment, yeah.
yeah, clear commitment to resolving that by a particular deadline.
My sense is that she's gonna turn around and ask you what you think the appropriate standard of cleanup is, because from like a health concern, I think she's
Not-
more or less satisfied.
Right,
You know, there's obviously a solid waste issue that has been largely addressed, but it'd be nice to see more. I don't want to speak for her, but where to draw the line, I don't know if she is gonna feel empowered to say if there's not an issue with health.
right. And if it's not. But I mean, that's sort of the end of the story on the solid waste issue. Then the curb cut issue is separate and not for Catherine to be following through on, right? And are we returning, I mean, the complaint is coming from the neighbor then gets communicated with that we found that that's not an issue. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I'd like to communicate with him as soon as possible about
Yeah,
what the conclusion of this is. I think if you agree on the curb cut issue, I could go ahead and let him know.
that's what I was kind of trying to, thank you for being more direct about it, because I was trying to pull those two apart. They're not,
They're separate.
they're separate. And to be able, we don't have to wait for Catherine or.
Right, and I feel like that communication can include some of Catherine's findings as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
Right, and it's sort of, we essentially have addressed the specific complaints. And they've made tremendous progress. And, you know, I think having a set date. If we were having this conversation before they've made any progress. That would be a sort of very logical thing. It's hard to define. I mean, it sounds like, I haven't had a chance to go by, but I think but I heard that, you know, a lot of it's gone and that, you know, and they have just told us, you know, they're committed to continuing that process throughout the summer as ability allows. I think that's.
I mean, I don't even know if she's gonna want, what more, I mean, there's some
Right.
stuff on the edges of the yard, but. The stuff that you see when you're going by, when you're driving by, the stuff that was really right in your face is gone.
Mhm.
The major
Right.
stuff is gone.
Well,
It can be over already, or, you know, if
Right.
he wants to come back and look one more time and say, please do these few more things and we'll, you know, I'll close the case. Basically, then that's fine too.
Mhm.
But I don't want a deadline looming and feel like I have to run around picking up everything for the next, you know, 6 weeks until she comes back again, and, you know what I mean, and really just know what she wants from us. And get it done.
And I think from my perspective, we're past the health concern stage. I know It's a solid waste issue or
Right.
aesthetic on some
Right.
extent.
So is it that we have you go make another site visit? Or someone from, you know, our side of the equation to,
I'm happy to do that, but I'm not clear what the standard is either, because there isn't one, right?
but, and also, we're not committing to upholding a state standard, that's not our
Right.
requirement.
Right.
We're saying we're not actually interested in pursuing a complaint on that front,
Yes.
so that's why I'm
So
still,
it may be sort of at the conclusion of the select
How
board.
about this? How about, we put this on the agenda for 3 weeks from now and everybody commit to driving by and have
Yeah.
a conversation about how you feel about that. That might jog something in terms of, here's what I think a standard is or what's reasonable.
So But yeah, if you're gonna do that with us, then you need to also think about the other places in town that are.
Right.
And I don't disagree with you.
Exactly.
I think that's a slippery
I
slope.
think they've made great progress.
I think we should,
Right.
we should say it, you know, if the health officer's all okay with it, then we're okay.
Yeah, so I guess let me clarify, I guess where I was originally thinking with this, and that's like. The health officer, the complaint was made to our health officer, the health officer is an agent of the town. We oversee the town, by virtue, it is a complaint to the town, so. The health officer was dispatched and wrote a report, so I think the only piece that's really missing is confirmation that the health officer no longer has any personal health concerns relative to the complaint, right? That would be the only thing within her purview. Otherwise, it sounds like relative to this conversation and the engagement from property owners that the town doesn't feel like that there's any further need. So this has been largely resolved, and so I think that it would be fair for the town to represent as much, across the spectrum of issues. The only piece that's missing is whether or not the health officer has any lingering issues of health concern. Short of that,
So
I think that.
I'm here to confirm or not,
Yeah.
the health issues have been resolved.
That's right.
Okay.
Does that seem like a relatively fair logic to folks?
And unless she feels there's continuing health issues,
The matter's closed.
matter is closed. Thank you. Yeah,
I think that's correct.
Okay.
Hopefully that's a little more clear than mine.
Is that better? I mean, is that helping address the question you're having there?
It is, I mean, the way that she spoke to me after the visit, it seemed like anything that would be under her purview was okay, like the septic thing, there was no
Right.
issue with the septic thing, anything that was actually something that a health officer would be sent out for was under control, but we were asked to, but we were already cleaning up the solid waste and stuff that was out there, it was a lot of junk, but it wasn't like
Yeah,
rats.
I mainly agree with you that was Catherine's perception, but I think the board just wants to confirm that before we finalize this.
And she's welcome to come again if she wants to come see the progress too, or we get a burger for her too.
Thank you. All right. Thanks again, guys. I appreciate it. And so we'll certainly be in touch if we need to, but consider this resolved for now. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
appreciate it. So the next item up on the agenda is appointments
did I
and
miss a public comment?
nope. That's after appointments here.
Oh.
Well, there's the road commissioner update on the same Duggar Brook
We have that.
complaint.
Can I just confirm, if Catherine says I'm satisfied from a health perspective, can I go ahead and communicate all of it? to
Yes.
Holly?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, this is encompassed.
Yeah, does
Okay.
anybody feel that warrants taking an action, authorizing Kari to say as much? I don't think it's
I
necessary.
don't think
No.
so. I think we've had a good
Thank you.
discussion on.
Appreciate So to answer your question, John, no, public comment is after some quick appointment considerations and then.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So we have two appointments up for consideration, health officer.
We actually have a whole list of, sorry,
Yep.
the agenda was just an abbreviated. These are all the
Yep.
singleton positions, the individual positions that it's in the packet. Sorry.
Page one of that document.
Yep, the green.
And we even want to make a couple of notes on that one. One, Catherine was overlooked, so we'd like to add her to the list of officials to be reappointed for 1 year. These are all folks that are incumbents and are willing to continue.
Right.
And then also pointing out that we're proposing not filling two roles. One is the second animal control officer.
Second animal control and the secondary webmaster position.
We seem to be operating fine without them. Buffy was in support of not having a second person. Just hasn't been using them. And Chris Steller, who's been serving that role, can't continue, so. And then I guess I'll also point out, you've already appointed Dave and Ellen Bogan to the Transportation Advisory Committee, and you've already appointed John and Bill Powell to the Solid Waste Management District.
And
Was I also reappointed already to the CVRPC back when?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And then the alternate is Melanie King. Oh, CVRPC. Sure, still.
I don't know.
that's who we have on the list.
She should be, yeah.
But we have it as that she's stepping down.
Oh,
Just that the term is ending and you need to be reappointed.
Okay, okay.
yeah, I didn't hear that she's.
Meadow, I'm seeing Melanie on the third page.
Okay. Let me see. If it's in red on the third page,
Yeah,
then that's the one who just requested stepping down. If it's in orange, it's just someone who hasn't gotten back to me. So I can't remember if that's the third or the fourth page or what that is. Let me pull that
The
up.
following
Yeah.
officials are stepping down at term's end.
so I'm just commenting on what John said here, that Melanie Keene is gonna stay on as alternate. Is that what I should?
I'm at, that's what.
Oh, you're asking.
I assumed you, but I hadn't heard she was stepping down.
Okay.
If it's in red on that list, then I've heard from that person
That
that
they
they prefer
are
to
not.
step down. or
Yeah,
are
okay.
stepping down.
So is she in red?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bummer.
So should, or, is the idea that we would take these all in one go?
Just page one. We're just
Yeah.
looking at the reappointment of singleton or like 1-year positions
Okay,
of people who are incumbent and are willing to stay on for another term.
Yes, page one with the addition of Catherine as an alternate.
okay. And
And I'm assuming at this point, because we've been trying to get pretty organized around this, that we haven't heard of any specific interest from the community for serving in any of these roles, other than the incumbents expressing an interest to be reappointed.
No contested positions.
No contested position.
No contested positions.
yeah.
We've advertised for over a month at this point on the website, and we've made a few front porch forum posts. But I haven't heard of anyone reaching out to my email. So.
okay.
Okay. Well, I think, does anybody else have any other questions about the incumbents who have expressed an interest in serving in their single role capacities?
I just have one more point of clarification.
Yeah.
So page one has all the greens that are just 1 year.
Yep.
Appointments, and then the next section has multi-year appointments.
Right, those are commissions that we're gonna look at
Separate.
separately.
Thank you.
So we're just looking at page one.
Thank you. I heard you, and yet I was still feeling like, are we so, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much. That's
Yeah,
great.
you're welcome first.
And I do see Catherine here. Saunders.
Yeah, I updated that earlier today.
Oh, okay, there you go. Great.
Okay. So, I'll just read those off quickly. We've got, well, the positions of Animal Control Officer, Curtis Pond Dam Monitor, Curtis Pond Harbor Master, Curtis Pond Island Oversight, Curtis Pond Island Oversight 2, Custodian of Town Hall, CVRPC, Representative, CVRPC, TAC Delegate, Central Vermont Solid Waste District Alternate, Central Vermont Solid Waste District Delegate, Delinquent Tax Collector, E911 Coordinator, Energy Coordinator, Forest Fire Warden, Forest Fire Warden Deputy, Gospel Hall Warden, Green Up Coordinator, and second Green Up Coordinator, Health Officer, Tree Warden, Webmaster.
Yeah.
So those are all incumbents. They're all on the website. Is everybody comfortable reappointing these individuals as incumbents?
Yes.
Can I have a motion to do so?
So moved.
All in favor?
All
Aye,
right.
thank you. Meadow, thank you for the effort in coordinating. Okay, next we've got well, let's have a conversation about the next processes, I guess. So we'll have some outstanding vacancies. And then we have the multi-year commitments where we've got incumbents who have expressed an interest that are marked on that second page. As well as some vacancies. There are plenty of them. Have we had much response at all to?
No
Any of you have
response at all on the forms.
No new people.
No new people. If there's a way that I could more aggressively market or, target advertising these positions, definitely open to suggestions. Like, I feel like Front Porch Forum is the primary mode that I have.
Yep.
We have like radio ads, is that the thing? Or, ways that I could put up more flyers, I think locally. If people are into that, I could probably design a flyer that's a little bit more eye-catching than simply just a list of words on a white piece of paper. That wouldn't be too much of a heavy lift for me, I think, but like very open to suggestions.
Have the Friends of Calais been leveraged at all?
No, I haven't reached out to them.
That they have a strong network and they might, be willing to
Thank you.
be a resource.
VLTC does a free advertising for all town positions.
Could you say that again?
VLTC
VLCT?
Yeah,
does a free advertising for all town positions.
I think having a flyer in the stores and post office spaces would be great. I mean, I think that's the extent that Barbara ever posted anything. It would be on the website and Front Porch Forum several times, and there would usually be an announcement or a flyer. And I think last year prior, maybe that was just kind of a list of outstanding appointments that was fairly generic and diplomatic, just to let folks what the opportunities are. Obviously, we have some incumbents.
I feel like the flyer is the piece I'm missing apart from other, places to advertise. So that's great.
Okay, thank you.
My sense is that Barbara Butler did a lot of outreach, individual touch.
What's she doing now?
She had a strong network. So that may be where we are in this process of reason to start asking people directly.
Well, and the committees themselves, and the chairs and the members of the committees are encouraged strongly to think of people and ask people directly, because they have direct experience and they're the ones who can share what it's like and how great it is to serve the town in this capacity. So.
Well, and I remember a few times in the past that Barbara had people who were leaving terms write a little something about their experience with it, what they enjoyed about it. Like the outgoing delegate to whatever could do their own Front Porch Forum post and just with a little more personal touch.
All right, well, thanks for that dialogue, everyone. Next up, we have public comment, which is time reserved for public to comment on or raise issues, anything that's not currently on the agenda. Short list here. John?
So 30-second comment. Somebody dumped a recliner chair off the side of Singleton Road between where my property ends and actually on Dale Graham's property. So on the east side of Singleton Road, it was over the bank, and my wife and I pulled it up onto the road. I think it was the Green Up Day fan. Probably it's probably been there since before Green Up Day. That's their annual dumping spot right there. I just enjoy it. So I'm just asking to really figure that out.
Do you have any, is it worth investigating? Because the solid waste district has an officer who
Good luck.
investigates. Well,
I know the only fingerprints you're gonna find are mine and Joanne's, so. I don't know if that's.
On a recliner? Is
It's
there an empty-
not my recliner.
There an empty spot in your living room?
Touched it, it's yours.
Yeah, it's in two pieces for some reason.
Take it home.
No, I picked it up on film.
Take it home, sit down.
Well, no,
so in Singleton, near your place?
yeah, south of my place, you go south of my house and there you cross the stream. That falls out of this pond, Pond Brook. I guess, and then you'll see it's on the left and that's but yeah, it's pretty ugly.
Look at that.
Noted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Me? Talk to me? Okay. There's a lot of garbage in this town. A lot of garbage around this town. We down Staten, Norfolk Bay. Right, right across from, an old dump, the old. I guess, I don't know what you call it. But anyway, you know what the town line is, in East Smoke, Norfolk Bay?
Mhm.
And Frank's. That dump, it's dumped all the way up to here, all the way, all around Calais. Calais is very poor. There's a lot of dumps all over. Duke Brook, everywhere you go. Dump it, everywhere. Unbelievable. Anyways, I got a mystery. I had a tree come up missing. Can you imagine that? Why the hell would you go? So now, when you come out Tucker Road, onto Lightning Ridge Road, right straight across there, on Tucker, on Lightning Ridge, is a tree missing. So, my son Brent, and I went over and looked at it. And Brent said, Dad, you sure, Brent, I go, where you got a damn tree here? So, we started digging around with a stump buster on the bank, which is here. And we found a root, about that long, in the ground. And it was cut off with a chainsaw, you can tell. And Ann says, we know one reason, one thing, Paul Bunyan did that. With an axe. So somebody took that tree. Okay, so I told my other son, of course, he's a pilot, and he works those internet just like him, sometimes he flies with it, So he looked it up. And he found out that I was right, that tree was there. Gone now. And so, where'd it go? We don't know. But the only thing I can think of, I know, like I said, Paul Bunyan into it, I think the town took it. And because when they come out Tucker Road, that tree's right there, and when they push the snow over the bank into my field, they can't do it with that tree there. So it's not missing. I know the roots are still there, the tree's gone, and they don't, how they do it. I know how they did it. I thought, they cut it off ground level. And they took it. Well, they didn't cut it off. They pushed it over. Because the stump is gone. I thought they cut it off, covered up with dirt, so I wouldn't see it, But the roots, the dump, the roots, everything's gone, completely gone. So how'd that happen? I can't really tell you for sure. But I do know the town truck and the excavator on a trailer came by there, I don't mark everything down when somebody goes by there, So I think they come by there, pushed it over with a loader, with an excavator, and they can leave it right on, they never took it off the trailer, they never took it off. I used to work with Du Bois, I know that can be done, you drive up to what you wanna do, and, you're not moving the track or nothing, you're swinging a bucket around, you push it over, you pick it up, you put it in the truck, get the hell out of here. Why? I don't know why. I can't go anywhere. to that. It drives me crazy thinking about how that goddamn tree come up missing. And Brett Chad got it on the internet. He looked it up and he sees that tree right there. It's there. My God, and it's not there today.
Okay,
Huh?
I'm failing to see how that's fallen into the town's purview.
What do you mean you can't see? I can see why the town did it. Why wouldn't it?
Well, we're talking about a tree that may or may not exist anymore.
Well, you know
disappeared.
that was there because you looked at pictures.
I don't know if it was there.
Well, you don't know, nobody knows, you don't know, I don't know, but anyway, okay, we aren't arguing about it tonight. We will talk about it later. Okay,
Okay,
I can tell you right,
You could probably look on Google Earth.
I told you, you did, you looked on Google Earth and it's there,
Oh, that's what you meant.
yeah. You looked at it, it's there. But today it's not there. So something happened to that goddamn tree,
have you considered planting a new tree?
huh?
Have you considered planting a new tree?
No, but so now, so if you go down that road, I asked you to come up and see it. The road tilts like this around that corner. And they take the dirt from that corner and they push it up onto the bank just beyond that tree. Okay? And then when they dig down for the grader, they down and they bring that dirt. They're killing that tree and they're gonna kill it because it's in the way of the town. So it's where it's blocked, it's in the way. So they're gonna dig down and all that dirt just the other side of the tree, shit, there's a 10-wheeler dump truck load of dirt that they pushed up just beyond the tree on that side of the road. So I don't know what I'm gonna do about it, I'm gonna do something for it. And you know, I haven't filed papers on the town yet, I haven't, but I found a guy, I think he's a good attorney, but I had to go to New Hampshire to get it. He's in Concord, New Hampshire. He practices law in the state of Vermont, he does, but I gotta go to Concord to do it. He is an ass kicker.
Okay,
So, I'm not, just because you haven't heard from me, that don't mean I'm just letting this go, slide. And today, I was down on George Road, Gray Road, Clark Gray Road. And you're one of your employees, you know who it was, right?
Yeah.
You wanna tell him?
Our employee Drew Lasik,
Huh?
He
He was there.
had an encounter with
Huh?
Doug today on Gray Road.
So he's over there on Frank Land, which I don't care. But he's over there checking out the beaver pond, right, with an iron bar. He comes back, and I said, do you know anything about that tree? And he starts swinging that iron bar, and he throws it on the ground, he gets in the window and he said, fuck you, Dudley, fuck you, I don't give a shit about that tree, I'm not afraid of you, fuck you, Dudley. Did he tell you that or not?
Do you want me to get into this?
no,
So,
no, but this sounds like an issue that does need.
I'll say that I'm aware of this issue, I'm investigating it.
Okay,
thank you, Karen.
thank you, Gary.
You are going, how can you investigate? Yeah,
That's right.
You talk to the parties involved.
huh?
Doug, that's the extent of our public comment you've
Well,
raised.
you know, I'm filing papers tomorrow.
Okay,
That's abuse, I promise you, tomorrow.
okay. Thanks for the heads up.
I want him fired, to tell you the truth.
We're gonna move on to next
Yeah, I know.
agenda.
Get out of here, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
Yeah, thanks. You know. I am filing papers on him tomorrow, I promise you.
I just have one other.
But I think because he's swinging that iron bar, he throws it on the ground, and he's mad now, I thought he was gonna hit my truck with it. I wish he had it, I need a new truck. Okay, see you tomorrow, buddy. Of course, well.
Okay.
All in favor? No, I don't know.
You had a pistol?
Around this year.
Onion River Outdoors, they do races, the bikes go through town. Did they contact anybody before they do that?
No police, so you're talking about the Muddy Onion?
Yeah, and there's one coming up in June as
Oh,
well.
yeah, that's the Cross a Lot Trail fundraiser, I think.
I don't,
That's not ORO, is it?
No, it's Cross a Lot Trail.
on the Onion River Outdoors is doing something on June 14th here, I think, but I just,
They are,
yeah, I just wanna know who goes and picks up the signs, you know? They put signs up, not all of them.
Onion River does.
Yeah, not all of them get picked up.
Okay.
That's all.
Are there some still around
Yeah,
town?
there's one around the corner here.
Oh, is that what that is?
I'm not sure if there's more, I haven't been to every road in town, but you know, yeah. I'm happy to have them, it's just, you know.
I wonder if Donna Smyer would be a good person to turn that over to. She's pretty involved in every race.
Well, she's not involved with bike races, she's involved with running races.
Mhm.
Primarily, I would think, right?
I just wanna know if they contacted anybody, that's all.
I'm happy to let them know. So there's that one and.
I don't know of any others, I just don't, you
All
know.
right, I'll just send them an email.
That was it.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Housing development discussion. So, this is, kind of continuation of the summary of the visits that we
Yeah.
had to date, and we kind of started this kind of summary dialogue, a bit last time. We were, light on members, but, didn't make any definitive decisions by any stretch of the imagination, but wanted to just kind of continue to provide some airtime for the select board to work through some dialogue on where we think we are. What, if any, information we think is outstanding? Do we want to solicit input from any other members of the community, specifically stakeholders or individuals with expertise, and then see if we can start working towards refining what our next steps are. And I guess if I were to kind of summarize some of the topics that we covered the last time, it's that we've kind of determined that the select board doesn't have a ton of time to be driving the continued investigation and kind of more refined information gathering, following the feedback that we've had so far. So we're likely looking at some sort of delegation or tasking of follow-up to a committee or individual or book group or however we decide we want to form that. And if we're heading in that direction, then, I think that it would behoove us to be pretty specific and what it is that short list of things are that we want them to investigate. So I think from my perspective, there's a very limited field of view for the select board specifically, like mechanisms through which we can take action to incite or incentivize development activity. And that's going to be some form of guidance on proposed regulation changes that has very specific process that would need to be either prepared for the planning commission or by the planning commission. Though, any group or the select board can have kind of a heavy hand in saying like what we think proposed changes should be. We have financial incentives that I guess that we could try to formulate through taxes or some other kind of financial mechanism. And I'd have to say that, that's been pretty quiet. Like, I don't feel like we've gotten a lot of input on that other than some of the development groups that know of like the usual sources of funds that can be applied to specific initiatives within, either ADU development or house upgrades that result in the addition of a unit, et cetera, et cetera. Many of those are either federally funded or grants. And come with the usual administrative burdens. But I personally felt like there hasn't been a lot of talk about what we could potentially do from a short-term tax incentive, though there was
can't remember who had mentioned it, but maybe it was Gus that had mentioned that there had been some early dialogue around, it might have been Christian from the CVRPC, about potentially exploring relief from current use tax obligations if people were going to pull their land out of current use, which can come with a tax penalty. But those are all very technical kind of tax policy things that, I mean, it would be very interesting to have a conversation with somebody who's steeped in those. That goes beyond my expertise, and I'm not aware of anyone locally that would be able to speak to that with any sort of authority. Anyways, these are the lists, and then the last one, which I think is probably the biggest and hairiest one, is some sort of public investment in infrastructure that would somehow reduce the entry costs for more traditional development, even if it were very targeted to a desired density and area. That's still taxpayer funds being thrown at very specific pieces of infrastructure, which I know we're being encouraged not to take that off of the table. And I'm not trying to, but relative to the other things, that seems like a really hard one to put a lot of time behind. So from my purview, I guess that perspective, those are kind of like the four categories, and then I guess it's a conversation of whether or not we want to identify very specific follow-up items for further investigation and some sort of, like, I guess, analysis. I mean, it would be helpful to have a sense of like what the potential impact would be. And again, I guess if I was putting together a wish list, I wish it were as easy as going to CVRPC or another regional planning group that would say, hey, here are some problematic features of zoning regulation that could be the things that you want to look at. We have some of those recommendations that we could look at, but I'm feeling like there's kind of a certain amount of emptiness from above about like what are specific things that have worked in other communities that have, you know, for lack of better phrasing, like moved the needle on these things, or very specific tax incentives.
I think John has a pretty specific and extensive list already
Yeah.
of things that he would recommend that he thinks would make a change. I've been exchanging some emails with Linda Gray on the subject this week or in the last couple of weeks. And so based on one of our conversations, I was looking into what municipalities can do for tax incentives. And it's a little bit limited, but there are some ways that you could potentially do like a parcel specific, you know, 25% reduction in municipal property taxes for 5 years, conditional on adding 3 units of housing, or, you know, something like that. So there are some ways, and I think it would be worth exploring. There's more, but again, I think maybe not us, but a group. And then the other question Linda asked that I thought was interesting was, are there any town parcels that would be suitable for development? And so I was looking at the town parcel map, and the town owns, I think it was 17 land parcels. And most of them looked like they were essentially, you know, used for whatever purpose they're used for. But I thought it might be worth digging in a little bit. The one that caught my attention was actually the parcel that the town office is on, which I know it's quite steep back there, but according to the map, that's a 25-acre parcel that goes all the way down past Singleton. So it just sort of, our conversation got me thinking, we carved out a spot for the town office. Would there be other, and I don't know if that's something we'd wanna
There's
consider.
also the town forest for Beacon as well. Right?
Right, I mean,
That's,
right, there are some big
and there's already a road kind of heading that
town
way already.
lots.
Yeah.
anyway, that's just another thing that could be. And it seems to me there's so many talented folks on this subject in town, many of whom we've talked to, some of whom we haven't. That the next step is whether it starts off official or it starts off informal. Then get it, get 8 or 10 people to sit around the table for 2 hours and just start mapping out the different sort of tendrils here. And then maybe that becomes an official committee, maybe it becomes a planning subcommittee. But it seems to me that would be the kind of logical next step.
I'll just say, that was really helpful. I'll just say that the resource page idea for me feels like a lot of work and not a lot of reward. So on the website, just because I feel like it's just, there's not, just be, for the same reasons we've just said, it's a difficult thing to undergo, and I just feel like it's an unwieldy piece, of the puzzle. And work that would be a big time sink, I feel like. I think that, I'm already in the space where I think we need a committee. I think, maybe we refer to it as an ad hoc committee for now, and then you can just, and we've already discussed this, but it's an ad hoc committee now, and we're charging with a few items. And we have, it's time limited, so we sort of we'd like you to investigate these things and then come back to us. And I would love for that to include, models in Calais or in surrounding communities that have already demonstrated that they work or don't work.
Yes.
So that we can help people. I think it's a good idea for the town, either through a committee or ourselves, to, yes, declare this is a priority. And actually say there's some pretty interesting models out there so just to spark thinking and ideas, and then this, and this committee can maybe, articulate, sort of shape some of those, because I think what is daunting, and this has already been discussed, by all of us, is that, we don't fit in the current priority list that the state is pushing per se. But we're not just gonna, I would like to communicate to the town that we're not just gonna wait, and still have these goals out there, but not do anything. So I guess I'm sort of ready to move to that next space. I am not totally ready to say this is the subcommittee of the planning commission and so on and so forth, because I'm just not there on whether that's the right space.
Yeah, I did agree with that. I think the question, so what works for me with the ad hoc committee is that, from my perspective, at least, like, I think that there's an opportunity to set like a very clear direction around a deliverable, and that is, here's a punch list of things that we'd like to investigate. We already have a list of recommendations from our own zoning administrator about modifications to zoning regulations. If like you go through some committee dialogue around that refinement of that list. Because if we were to move forward on pursuing those as a recommendation, that would also have to probably create, like, that would spur a whole other probably task for this group to do, because we could essentially task them with creating a report that goes to the planning commission, and that's what spurs the whole thing. But we could also say,
dive deeper into the incentives or the evaluation of town land use. And even if that is a prioritization of that list of zoning regulation changes, a prioritization of potential tax incentives, and how those could potentially get structured. And then for each one of those, try to come up with a outside example of where those works.
Yeah,
And then come up with a timeline for that ad hoc committee to create that and what those members would think is a reasonable amount of time. And then see if there are specific actions from there, and that kind of ends the committee. If that meets the definition of an ad hoc committee, because they're not going to be revisiting a particular scope of work. We already have some members who have expressed an interest in serving in that particular capacity.
and then we can, then we have time frame and we have a little bit of control on the topics that are being investigated. Yeah. Does that with what you're thinking?
Yeah, it completely does, and it seems to me that it would be worth shooting an email to, brainstorming a list of key players many of whose names have come up tonight. And, just polling and trying to get a date and see maybe if somebody like Gus might be interested in kind of playing a facilitation role for a first meeting. And then if we could get
It's
a,
already volunteered to do that.
Yeah.
We basically said that.
yeah, so. And just sort of.
As a first step.
As a first step.
Yeah.
And we can sort of supply a list. We already sort of have one. It would be hard to compile. Just a bullet list of all the different pieces we've discussed. Just gauge interest in digging in.
So I think Tegan jumped on. Because I'd like to better get a clear view of what the requirements are for an ad hoc committee and make sure that we're being diligent,
Right.
and then saying like what the scope of that work is going to be and defining it, and then take a stab at some of the, I think relative to the scope of this particular committee, it would be prudent to think about the type of expertise that we want on serving on the committee. So it sounds like, maybe I can work with Tegan and follow up with everybody a little bit individually on trying to rough that in, so that by the next meeting, we can have a good sense of what that outline looks like, what the task is for us to review.
Hey, Jordan.
And potentially make appointments. Yeah.
I don't think there's too stringent of requirements for an ad hoc committee like this one. It's not one of the statutory committees like planning or DRB. So I think you all can just move to create a committee and set the parameters yourself.
Okay.
I will double check, but I'm fairly sure there's not a whole lot of regulations if you're just creating a committee that is not statutorily regulated.
And can we identify who we want on it, Tegan, or are we required to sort of make it open, or can we just we can name them?
I mean, you have most committees, all committees, you appoint them, so you can appoint whoever you.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. And one point I would just make is that I agree, Gus, but I think, and I would suggest that he might have a co-chair or something, so that be, just some diversification there, so that we don't put all of our eggs in that one wisdom basket.
Jordan, you want to work together maybe on?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to call it a charter, but just a couple lists, a membership list and a task list.
Yeah.
Focus list.
Yep.
And then bring it back in 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Just check in and then we can proceed from there. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
I think that makes sense. Great, well, thanks for that dialogue. Just gonna warn everyone that my computer is dying and I don't have a plug for
Oh,
it, so.
You want one?
Well,
That should be good for,
no, mine's not gonna work. I have bills.
Yeah, take mine. I'm sure it's that.
Probably gonna say that that's.
I think it, look, I'm not adequate, is that what you're saying?
Not you. No, it's
Doesn't
not.
seem to respond.
I
It's not working?
need a big one. Mine sucks a lot of juice. It's got a big process. Anyway. I'll just need some help with the agenda, I guess, as we're moving through. So,
I think we're done on that.
yeah, we're done with that. Next is policy review. So the last time we got an update on some policies being proposed, the adoption of fund balance policy that were roughed in, as well as the adoption of a fraud prevention policy. And then we also have a procurement draft. So the fund balance policy and fraud prevention policy were pretty clean. Not a lot of notes on that.
yeah, you did ask me to have the attorney review the fraud prevention since it was brand new.
Yeah.
And they had minimal comments.
Okay.
As I described last time, it's very boilerplate.
Okay.
So with that, I think unless anybody would like to have any other discussion on those,
Sorry, just on the first two?
the first two.
Yeah. No.
I think it'd be fine to consider a joint motion to adopt the fund balance policy and the fraud prevention policy.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. So then we have a draft of a procurement policy. Do you want to provide an update on this one?
Yeah, so this is we talked about the purchasing policy that exists last time, specifically the dollar levels around incidental versus minor purchases. And then when I started digging into what the LCT recommends now, because my sense is they're constantly evolving this policy. In a large part because of FEMA, I think. Anyway, they've expanded their thinking from purchasing to procurement, which is more of a system of purchasing, right? And so it seems like a good direction for us to head, I think. And given the scope of this, I thought it would make sense to just bring it to you in draft form and not have the pressure of trying to adopt anything tonight, but just akin to a first reading and surface any questions you might have. So it's very long, but it's very similar to our current purchasing policy. It divides things into sort of general requirements and then purchasing involving just town funds and then purchases that involve state or federal funds. But really, from my perspective, the most substantive changes are the dollar threshold limits that we discussed last time around incidental and minor. And then the sealed bid process, which we don't do very often, is for large, but it's really only required for very large purchases, using state or federal funds. Not that we couldn't use the sealed bid, we did use it for the French mattress project.
I was gonna say, there's occasions where
Yeah. And I don't think that wasn't a 350,000, but it made sense. We had five bids and it just made sense to do it that way. So that's kind of it. There's a lot of words, but I don't feel like it's that significant of a change at the end of the day.
Had we already had language around emergency purchases?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the same. You have to deem it an emergency, you have to be able to defend that.
Yeah. That was my, I think that was-
There are some other exceptions in there too, right? If you judge that there aren't enough vendors out there. I think it's a sole source. There's also a whole discussion of pre-qualified contractors, and that's not something we've ever explored.
yeah,
I don't see us
We're not
going
doing
in that route, but there's no harm in having it in there
yeah,
for the future there.
we're not really big enough for stuff like that. We're not.
No, it would, I think, be nice if we were working towards like having a short list, or not a short list, but like managing a list of vendors, who perform certain work and having it get updated so that, I know that the $250,000 threshold is kind of like is the standard that's set, but there's plenty of other situations like French mattress or something. It's like putting things out that there's like our only mechanism for shopping things around and exploring folks who may have particular expertise.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important in terms of transparency for the town to know we're undergoing a project and there's a public notice and all the things are.
Yeah. But I don't know what we call that or how we capture that other than just make
At
it
our
a list.
discretion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just good to maintain that list of people we want to make sure see our requests for proposals.
Mhm.
Would, this is going backwards a little bit, the sealed bid section, would any project that we expected FEMA reimbursement from be considered a federally funded project? And if so, this is saying any federal funded project of more than $2,000 must use a sealed bill.
Is that for the Bacon Davis? Is that there's a?
That's procurement of sealed bid under the procurement categories and requirements under the federal fund section, so it's. Two-thirds down page 7. Procurement by sealed bid. It says federally funded construction projects of more than $2,000 must use the sealed bid process.
Construction projects.
Right.
Yeah, I need to get clarity on that.
Yeah,
It's such a low threshold. I mean,
right,
you
exactly.
can't do anything for $2,000.
Right, so I'd hate to like not be able to get FEMA reimbursement
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. And of course, we had many large projects
Right.
in the 23 storm, at least 2 that exceeded that threshold of 350.
Right,
And I think that all fell under emergency, right? And I don't know what the process that was used to select those
yeah.
vendors, but I take it you've made some quick decisions and got
Yeah,
people lined up in a hurry.
Whoever was really able to do it.
You didn't do a sealed bid.
No.
Made a bunch of phone calls and said, can you do it? But I'll find out what they're referring to there.
Yeah.
I don't have any other. Comments?
All right, well, we'll get that one answered. If you have any other questions, let me know and bring it back next
Bring
week.
it back. Yeah. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.
That brings us to administrative items. The first being the approval of
approval of the minutes from the May 11th meeting, which it was just Jamie and I'd say we just table that one.
Right. Here.
I'll just wait until Christie's here next.
Just Sharon Fannin is Sharon. I think it came off as Shannon.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Thank you so much. Made that correction.
I'm sure that happens to her quite a lot.
Did anybody else have any other comments or corrections to the minutes?
I did not.
I also did not. So we'll table those for now.
Mhm.
Keep things on the up and up. Board orders. So board orders were posted to the shared drive. Hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to review those. Are there any comments or questions on the board orders? Were you working on one there, Bill?
I just, had a question, but I don't remember what it was, so I'm just gonna let it go. Doesn't matter. Oh, the burial plot purchase, well,
Oh, yeah. So in the past, we have taken a check from a purchaser of a burial plot, endorsed it and turned it over to T. Rowe Price for our endowment fund.
Yeah.
They no longer accept these third-party checks. They need the payment to come directly from the town. So it's a pain, but we're having to take those funds in and then write a check to T. Rowe Price.
Gotcha.
Ourselves. So you'll be seeing this on a more regular basis. This is a new policy.
okay.
I had that same question and the Barbara Butler question, and because I was looking at them before I read your memo. And then I read your memo and I was like, oh, it's right here.
Yeah, we spread Barbara's leave out 80 hours per pay period, not to, so the taxes wouldn't go crazy. She'll have proper withholding at the end of the year.
Right.
Mhm. That was nice of us.
What we do.
Can I get a motion to approve and accept and sign the board orders?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And we also have the journal entries report that was prepared. New practice. Anybody have any questions about the journal entries that were made this month, or in April rather? Can I get a motion to accept and approve the journal entries?
So moved.
All in favor?
All right.
Did you have something?
Did you second that or did you second that?
It doesn't matter.
Is it done?
Yeah.
I was just questioning this, is this process working for you? Does it make sense to do this? You want to delegate it to someone? Remember, the auditor wanted to see someone
Right.
in position of authority approve these, but.
No more authority than right here, is it?
No, well, yeah, you are the
You
only.
know, all right, we talked about it. I think it's fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, okay.
there's not a huge action
Right.
out of it, but it's good for us to have a
Yeah,
look. And,
Sort of like
you
the
know,
warrants, yeah.
Yeah.
If you see something, you can ask about.
yeah,
Okay.
So we have the FY 2026 audit engagement letter to approve. It's also posted in the admin file. We're required to do an audit.
We are required to do an audit. We could save a lot of money by having a local auditor, a town auditor, but I wouldn't recommend that.
Right.
You're doing on it every year.
Well, we have been doing an audit every year, but I thought that there was a particular, or maybe that was just we had to have a specific audit for the bond.
The single audit
yeah, that's it.
is different. It's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
$1 million threshold
Yeah.
there. But the regular audit is annual.
It's significant.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could consider some other model, and remember at the co-op, we eventually went to a financial review every other year, which is less testing. We'd still need some auditor to say, I approve this audit report. But I think that could be a local person that does it for a fraction of the cost. But maybe that's something we should talk about another time.
Is that,
Well, I wonder if, sorry.
I was just gonna ask if, where we're at with VLCT, where.
Yeah,
what's
I
their
could explore it a
latest-
little bit. I could ask.
What's their latest?
Yeah.
I'm sure every town, we're all tiny towns
Yeah.
trying to deal with this.
It's 1% of our.
But it's also an issue.
Yes.
It's for reason,
Right.
Yeah,
right, in other communities.
yeah.
Well,
Have had some serious issues, so.
And I wonder, so the last couple that we've gone through, we've gotten very good remarks for the most part. And then
Last
most of the findings, we're slowly adopting things. The things on that checklist are going away.
Yeah.
And so I guess one of the main questions I would have would be like, okay, well, if we do something where we're maybe adopting a policy or procedure where we're getting a formal audit of our systems and processes every 2 to 3 years, is that any more expensive from the auditor's perspective as opposed to
they have to
doing
go
it every
through
year? Because they have to go
multiple
through multiple years, or
I'm sure they will get us coming and going.
yeah, right.
I mean.
But I mean,
right?
but they'd only be able to look at that 1 year anyway, right? Because we'd be engaging them for that particular year. They're not
I mean, it's
auditing
perfect.
our procedure.
Keegan has a hand up.
Hi, Tegan.
I just wanted to chime in that you can, I forget if it's elect or appoint, might be appoint, just citizen auditors. You can have a group that audits the books just of citizens. It doesn't even have to be a professional. I know some of the smallest and lowest budgeted towns still do it that way.
Woodbury does that. And there's not much to it, from my understanding.
The East Calais Fire District also does that. We have a group of 3 people who just audit our books every year.
Should we go through it one more year and then maybe put this up as a thing for discussion when we start doing next year?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sounds like a very good idea.
All right. So then are we comfortable with approving the FY 2026 audit engagement letter? Okay.
Second.
All in favor? And then let's make a note to review what our options are for the next budget.
Yeah.
Dog warrant. So this would be a warrant to the animal control officer to impound animals who remain unlicensed. We're now well beyond deadline. Do you have an idea of how many dogs were Buffy going in that?
45, looks
Yeah,
like
it's-
45.
there's 45 on
It's
this.
45 there. There are a few on that list that are sitting in my partial paid box. That one question I have is, would it feel okay to allow those partial payments to serve as full payments? And register those dogs, and then amend the warrant appropriately, or continue, or to keep those dogs on the warrant. And just sort of make the condition that there's a partial payment, but we've not received full payment. These are people I've contacted several times to get the underpaid registration to be completed, and I haven't heard back from most folks.
Or yeah.
I would keep them on the list personally, because they,
Yeah, it's just, in this case, I think it's
How many?
four people. I've got just checks that they've written. And I think the issue in this case also is coupled with a mailer that went out earlier in the year that had a misprint in the mailer, where the fee structure was errantly written as a $7, $11 fee structure. instead of the state standard of 11 and 15. And, you know, a lot of people who I called directly, they sent the underpaid fee in, but there's just like a handful of people who just still haven't done so. And we just have held on to their checks and we haven't deposited them, you know, so it's just been this little limbo process that they've been in for a couple of months.
Yeah, there's a cost to how much time we put on this. So I guess my recommendation would be that there's one more call, to try to get that resolved. One more effort, whether it's call or email, or whatever you suggest, and then
I will
let
let,
it.
I will let you know that Carol Fielder's dog had passed away.
Okay, yeah,
That's very
but.
Yeah, and
Come up.
I was gonna say Michelle Eno, Izzy died. I'm glad I don't see my name unless somebody will call.
My house, you know, they've just been drowned. Get out there and the spring rush.
I was like, please don't send me a freaking animal.
Yeah, this is a list that seems greater than any previous year, and
Is it? Yeah, that was the other question.
that's at least my feeling. I don't
I don't
remember.
have a lot of experience with it. I know that Barbara would go to
Yeah,
great lengths,
yeah,
where again, working the personal, touch.
and yeah,
Is that what it was?
and I remember, I guess at least it getting to a point where we had to threaten a warrant and a written notice to the last remaining folks, and that generally brought us over the finish line, I think, but.
Yeah, and we could do that
But
again.
this is a pretty significant list, so. And yeah, I guess I'd like to see, I guess, one more push and.
Okay.
Okay, I can hit the ground running, you know, this week and just individually call every person on that list and make sure that I make contact. And at least, you know, like request that they get the fee to us. And I'll report back.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mona. I
Hannah.
think that's appropriate. But then do we still take the action?
I don't think we take the action until we table the action and then we
Table
put
the
it back
warrant,
on the next agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
Authorized payment of tax sale escrow funds, name receipt.
Well, this is an unusual case. So we have back in 2019, when I think this was before Sandra was the treasurer and Gloria Rice was our attorney back at that time. He's out of the business at this point. The town went to tax sale on property and it sold for more than $40,000 above the what was needed to pay the taxes. So that that excess should go to the owner of the property. However, it wasn't clear who the rightful owner was because there was a life estate person occupying the place and person on the deed. And so Gloria Rice's advice at that time was wait until you have a signed agreement saying how to distribute those funds. So we've been waiting all these years and we're still waiting, but a woman named Sandra Lockerbie who is actually purchased the property from the high bidder at the time. So she's the owner currently. She has an interest in getting this resolved and would like to see the owners receive the funds and move on. So she proposed a written agreement. I had our attorney review it. They provided their comments and they also urged us to get this resolved as quickly as practical. So, so I'm bringing this to you. It has not been signed by both parties. Sandra reported to me this morning that one party has signed it, but she hasn't. She'd like to get your sense of it before she approaches the other party at this point. So you could wait to see the signed agreement, but it'd be really valuable to have your feedback if you have any further concerns at this stage.
I mean, it seems like if the two parties are in agreement,
It's not our money, right?
Not our money.
Yeah, no,
It's a
I
50-50
I thought it was-
split, like,
Dispose of it.
if she can get the second party to sign it,
Yeah.
then be done with
Yeah,
it.
it may not be 50-50, but that's not our concern.
Right, yeah.
Okay. All right, so you wanna wait until we have a signed agreement, or do you want to approve it pending receiving a fully executed agreement?
I'd be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Dispense with it. Don't,
Okay,
don't block any.
then we could go quickly, or hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that would be appropriate motion authorizing Kari to disperse funds contingent on the execution of a mutually agreed upon and signed agreement.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Oh, this is because we don't have any in the drawer.
Yeah, in part. Next one is authorization of town administrator to distribute payment as needed prior to, well.
Just since we have a 3-week break, I don't think there's gonna be many, but I do know that the green up day reimbursement depends on an invoice I just got today, and there's a deadline I give the reimbursement, so I don't wanna miss that. There'll probably be a few other odds and ends.
And everything's gonna be in board orders, I guess.
Yeah, you'll approve it after the fact.
We'll see it after the fact, but the other time, right, so everybody comfortable out there, then probably do distribute payments as needed prior to our June 8th meeting.
Bet we've done it a few times, we'll need that.
You did the holidays.
Second.
All there?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. That concludes admin stuff. And we have a check-in and update from the swim committee, and it looks like Mr. Keeney is online. Welcome, Daniel. Oh, both Keeneys.
Howdy. Yes, we're both joining you. It's a very auspicious occasion. Yeah, evening to you all. Thanks for letting us check in. We don't have a ton to report, but we're certainly here to entertain any questions, I guess. I'm gonna mostly leave a little bit of an update as to how planning's going to Adrienne, because she takes on the lion's share of that instructor recruitment and coordinating registration. But things are going, yeah, pretty much according to schedule, right, eh?
Yes, I'm
Oh, sorry.
getting information. Yeah, we have 3 weeks of swimming scheduled for this year. We have Adeline Canella and Aniko. What's Aniko's last name? Farr. And they
Instructor.
are instructors, yeah. Adeline is certified in lifeguard and WSI, and Nico's only certified in lifeguarding right now, but he's getting his WSI training.
Water safety instructor.
And we've decided on July 6th to the 10th, then the 13th to the 17th, and then the 27th to the 31st. So 3 weeks in July. We'll do something pretty similar we've done in the past where we're 10:30 to whatever time. Usually it's like 2. And we go by lifeguard protocol where they get 15-minute breaks in between each class. One person is always on lifeguard and one person is teaching so that there's always eyes on the kids. Parents are also required to stay. I'll order the porta potty pretty soon. That goes at the swim dock or access. And we'll also do water testing again. I usually do it at time school is out until the beginning of August.
Weekly.
Every week I test the swim access area. And I checked in with Mark Whitman. He says the docks are in great shape. He will be putting them out when the time comes. He will also be putting out the rope for swim lessons when that is appropriate. And
Did registration go out yet?
the registration has not gone out yet. I got my first email inquiry today, which is actually pretty late for the season, but I will be doing that shortly.
And those go out to Calais Elementary and to like adjacent.
Yeah, I usually
schools?
send it to East Montpelier and Doty. And then I also put it on Front Porch Forum in all 5 towns, and in Montpelier. And I email the people who have done it in the past. Yeah.
Any questions? I think
Those answered all of my questions, mostly the
Yeah.
when's
and
and
then
the
some.
who's.
Meadow asked about renominations, and I think it was myself and Linda who were up for reappointment. I emailed Linda. I haven't heard back from her. I'm willing to be reappointed. But I do think we need to get some new folks. We usually target some unsuspecting recent parents. Yeah, parents of very small children who will be personally invested in the program for a while. So if you know anyone to send our way, let us know. But we have those conversations during the program weeks as well. So we'll probably come to you to seek appointment for some new people at some point next year.
The other piece was that if someone asks, just so you know, last year we changed having trash and recycling, or trash or whatever we used to do. We took that away last year because it seems to be more of a nuisance and a littering problem because people use the trash as their own dumpster. So I've stopped ordering that, and last year it wasn't a problem. People just did carry in, carry out. But if someone asks or if there is a concern, you're welcome to let me know. But I really don't think it's appropriate to have a bin there.
Yeah, it wasn't rated last year, so I think that's probably good reason to proceed that way for sure. Yeah. Have you planted the seed on Old West Church Road about the need for parents to volunteer for various positions around town, like the swim committee?
Oh, we should. One Old West Church Road? I don't understand.
There are a lot of.
Oh yeah,
There's some new parents out there.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'll just drop off all the materials on the.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, before we depart, I also just want to have read into the record that Eloise did great at the concert. Jordan.
Yes, on the record. Her little she had
Great,
like
that means that I'm on the record for being a negligent parent and prioritizing my town duties over attending my 6-year-old's concert. So you should all feel guilty.
Bring it.
Thank you for reporting back. You didn't record it? Hopefully Rachel recorded it.
I think she did. Yeah. We got to sit with her.
Well, thanks
Thanks,
all.
guys.
Nice to see you.
Appreciate it. Are there any other
No,
questions?
it's very helpful. Really appreciate
Thanks.
it. Thank you.
So the last bit for us then are reports, and I'm flying blind. So we've done the Calais Town Hall.
We did a website improvement report from Meadow.
Okay, so this requires a brief amount of context. We currently use the Catalyst, like government website content management. It's looking a little bit out of date. It's like kind of looking maybe like a 10-year-old website. So I was just looking into ways to improve it. Sarah and I reached out to the Catalyst company. We pay $768 a year, and it goes up a little bit every year. for like the privilege to use their content management system. Essentially, it's a really clunky back end. It's like very difficult to do things. I just wanted to do a couple of simple things. I've got a lot of web development experience. So I reached out to ask, can we just like tweak a couple of things? And had a really negative experience with someone who I was routed to in their customer service, who quoted me $175 an hour for design changes. Then got a flurry of emails back from people seeming to do damage control. And then there was someone who gave me a really nice email, but quoted me $220 an hour to do website redesign. And so personally, I was really just bothered by this. I have a real issue with oppressive business models like that. And I, like I said, experience doing web development. So I thought, what if I just recreated the entire website in WordPress to see if I could do it? And I did, and that's, you can look at.
I did look at it, yeah.
That's just what I did on my development server. That's a fully functioning version of our website currently. But it gives us complete design control to just do whatever we want with our website development moving forward. It's on WordPress, which is open source and has like constant security updates. And so it's fairly stable as far as I'm concerned, security wise. We would have to purchase our own hosting. One of the outstanding questions I had about this was, would that affect our domain? And it doesn't. We manage our domain and all of our email addresses separately. So we're really just paying $760 a year plus whatever they're going to quote us for design, just to like hold on to this outdated website structure. So my proposal is that we buy our own domain on Hostinger. It probably costs us about, I would say between $300 and $500 a year. So it's significant cost reduction for being able to just host a WordPress site. Also, Hostinger does a lot of this is a platform, a hosting platform that both Sarah and I have used. They do their own like package deals where if you like buy 3 years, you get 75% off, and it's just they do ridiculous deals like that. So out the gate, we'll be able to get a hosting package for fairly inexpensive. And then moving forward, it would still be cheaper than what we pay Catalyst. We would have to employ Sarah and myself to just like do regular maintenance, but it's really minor stuff. WordPress's back end is really easy to use. It's a lot easier to use than Catalyst is, to be honest. In the little mock-up I did on my development site, like we can use the blog feature of WordPress to do policy updates, to do our own newsletter. We could expand in that direction if we wanted. The calendar that I've got there is just like I created a quick plugin that connects us to Google Calendar. So we'd be able to maintain the calendar in Google Calendar outside of the website's backend. That's really where I'm at, all in all, I just wanted to volunteer my time and just like basically spitefully say, this could be done a lot better. And I wanted to give us the option to have to spend less money on a website and have more control over what the design looks like, sustainably moving forward. So that's my report, and I want you to just like play around on the development site. It's like not all the pages are fully designed, but like you should have a strong sense of what the structure looks like. And you can let me know if that feels like a good direction for us to go. If we wanted to stay with Catalyst, it's going to be $220 per hour to redesign. And it kind of seems like the original acquisition of Catalyst predates us all. And has just kind of been used for a long period of time. So it's probably been, probably close to 8 years since that website design was made in the first place, but I don't have the receipts on that one.
Jamie's got the background. For some reason, the link isn't, I looked at it earlier today, but I'm not, are you? I can't.
Working great.
It's
It's fast too.
Yeah, I think it's great. I was
Yeah.
webmaster for quite a few years. I've used both Catalyst and WordPress, and Catalyst is miserable to work with.
Yeah.
And I absolutely fully support moving away from it.
My biggest question around this was just, we happen to have your talent on staff right now, we have, what would you say around like the sustainability of this scenario? And the other question I have is around security and hacking and sort of online payments and, is there risk, that wonkier site, protects us from that? This wouldn't.
Both great questions. The first question is, as far as sustainability of WordPress, there's a lot more online documentation for developing WordPress than there is for Catalyst. Like if you're just trying to figure out how to do something in Catalyst, it's incredibly infuriating. Oftentimes you have to call the Catalyst customer service and you're routed to somebody who is working from home, just basically telling you how to do stuff in the back end.
Yeah.
Whereas there's an entire Substack, like a world database of how to do block editing development in WordPress.
And
it's
a
also really-
network of independent contractors who
Yeah.
know
Okay.
WordPress.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
Yeah.
like, presuming that I'm not around and, like I want to be around. for
Yeah,
a
no,
long
yeah.
time, what is your bet? Like, you're gonna be able to find someone who can work with WordPress.
Yeah.
That's.
I'm just doing my due diligence.
Oh, of course. No, it's a great question. And as far as security is concerned, like everything is hackable. I think it's difficult to hack WordPress as long as you're up to date with updating plugins and making sure that you're on top of that sort of security system. Other things that we can do is like disable comments on the blog feature, disable logins, so you wouldn't have people, able to like make a login on the website. Those can be just shut down.
Okay.
Out the gate for WordPress.
I mean, I think that there needs to be rigor around that,
Definitely.
since it's a government
100%.
municipal
I
site.
know that Woodbury also uses WordPress through their website, and I think there are a few other towns in Vermont that I saw. In my, and then your second question, the pay stuff happens through Payrock. It's not a
Separate.
part of our website anyway, from the website.
Thank you. Thanks very much. I think Tegan had a question.
Go ahead, Tegan.
Yeah, I just two things I wanted to say is we plan to just run this by RB Tech and make sure they don't have any concerns. But also there's the point that everything we have is public information and we don't need the website to do any of our work. It's very helpful, it's very convenient, but if it went down or if it got hacked, besides being really annoying, it wouldn't, as far as I can think of, prevent us from accomplishing any of our jobs or put any information out in the world that is not public information. So that is why I think we can be pretty comfortable with a lot of this.
That's
Right.
great, a great point, Tegan, thank you.
There's not like a sensitive back end.
No, we don't have anything like that. At least if there is, I haven't found it yet, so.
Yeah, really in terms of WordPress stuff, the main thing to keep, from happening is you don't want comments because spam can just like add spam information to your comments.
Yeah.
structure, and it's just really easy to disable that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you for doing that
Yeah.
evaluation that we added this on because, I got an update from Meadow and they were doing an amazing job just kind of working with various folks who've touched the website and doing comparisons and a pretty comprehensive evaluation of how our site was stacking up against other Catalyst sites. And I love the idea of stress testing the validity of these service providers that specialize in getting municipalities and government entities on really bad platforms that end up just being expensive and clunky and dumb. So I really appreciate the assessment. I agree, like just having a sniff test with RB, they work on the IT side with a lot of municipalities, and just would add I guess theoretically neutral third party opinion on the matter. But yeah, whenever there's a decision to be made, it'd be good to have a kind of an overview of like what it's going to cost, how long it's going to take to move everything over, and then I know that WordPress can sometimes have some kind of like wonky integrations or compatibility with with very specific plugins, but if we just have like a list of the plugins that we'd like to have on that wish list, of integrated features, it'd be good to know what those are.
Currently in the, like the development website that I created, I just tried to do it bare bones.
Yeah.
And the only plugins that I have is Lightspeed Cache, which is just recommended for most plugins. And then there are 3 block editor plugins, which are pretty commonplace: Otter, Cadence, and starts with an S, Prema or something like that. I don't know the actual name of it. But they're just 3 block editors. The theme that I build my templates on is just the WordPress standard theme. So there's really nothing else special happening on the development site. So it's pretty easy to work with.
The only one I can think of is like a more kind of robust like calendars feature that again, we'll just earmark it for now, but it's been a subject of discussion a number of times, and it'd be interesting maybe to explore the possibility of working with other groups that are like town adjacent, like the Friends or something like that, when there are other events happening around town, so that we can be a more user-friendly repository for that kind of information.
Well, and just the.
And the Friends of Calais Town Hall.
Yeah, if all of that stuff could happen on Google Calendar, then the plugin that I put on this development website would
just skip to that.
I just created a brief calendar that doesn't have any data in it, which is why that calendar looks empty, but it'll pull all the data from the Google Calendar that I linked it to, so.
Right, and you can, similar to what we've been doing on the calendar now, in Google, you can have in the description field, you can have a link to the board packet, for instance, or whatever. And I think, depends on the plugin, but I think you can have it set to toggle calendars too, so it theoretically could have like a default municipal events
And then you can
calendar,
layer it.
but then you might be able to layer on, and that's where you could pull in some other friend stuff or more community calendar type stuff. Be interesting to look at down the road.
Well, thank you, madam. Did you have any other comments, Bill?
No, I think you covered it, as yeah, that's fine.
Tegan, or I'm sorry, Kari with financial report.
Financial report, so through the end of April, we are looking good on the general government side, highway fund. I think we're gonna be over budget on our expenses. But we've been really doing our best to bring it in as close as possible. Really did a limited amount of gravel this spring compared to what we would normally do, and held off on the chloride. I think depending on how the weather goes, we're probably gonna have to order at least 1 batch of chloride, because there are certain parts of town that are so dusty. Like along Curtis Pond is just really dusty there.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're doing our best, and we'll have one more report before the year end.
Okay. Thank you. Deegan.
Yeah, the focus lately has been the reappraisal. Last week I attended a training that was done by VLCT working with the property valuation and review folks from the state. Basically, it was an all-day training prepping us for the possibility of grievance hearings going to the BCA after the phase they're in now. These are a possibility every year. It's just that most of our grievances never get past the listers. Everyone sort of reaches consensus, but they do have a lot of processes that are similar to the Board of Abatement. And I just wanted to make sure I had my head wrapped around it in anticipation of possibly getting some this year. It was really helpful. Barbara Butler was also there for the all-day training, and I know a couple people are signed up for shorter trainings later on, but that was really helpful. And then today, the first day of the hearings with NIMRIC and the listers, I knew I needed to record them, and so I ended up sitting in for the morning during those hearings so that I could turn the Zoom recording on and off, but also just getting to listen in and see what that looked like and felt like and what people were talking about. And I found that to be a really helpful experience to just sort of get a vibe on what people were concerned about and where the numbers seemed high to them and how NIMRIC responded to questions and how the listers responded to questions. So that was helpful, and that's going on the next 2 days as well. So I will probably poke in there. I know they only have 2 signups for tomorrow. I'm not sure about Wednesday. But that's sort of the focus right now there. And the BCA is also the group that looks at elections. So we will need to start looking at August election and November election things. So I'm trying to get my ducks in a row for upcoming events later this summer and into the fall.
Thanks, Tegan.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Kari for town admin.
Yeah, just quickly, I wanted to say that we're working on our grant project planning for the summer. We've got the paving grant that needs to be coordinated between the RPC and also the work that we want to do on our own to restore the bed there. We've also got the grant and aid grant, which we don't know exactly where we're going to focus. That needs to be hydrologically connected segments, and then better roads. That's I think 3 culverts on Pekin Brook, just down the road from here, where it's especially wet with springtime. And we're still waiting to hear back about the structures grant, which would be the Stillbrook Bridge. And then I just wanted to mention that the incident that happened today with Doug and Drew Lasik, Drew let me know about it immediately. He radioed it, and we spoke about it. I asked him to provide a statement from his perspective. I spoke with Doug about it, this afternoon, so I've got an account.
From both sides.
Yeah, and I'll try to work through that. They've got obviously different sides, different versions of my things. But I will do my best to address it.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't hold much hope of finding it's true.
Yeah.
No.
Allow me to sign this.
At least 3 people need to sign that.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions for Kari? Meeting adjourned. Thanks, Tegan.
You.